everyone, Alec Tackmann here. Today we're looking at GoAndPractice Book 2, and we're looking at pages 20 and 21. This is Paradiddle and Paradiddle Variations. So again, like a lot of the other videos in this segment, I'm going to talk about it first as if you're a complete beginner to paradiddles, haven't seen them before, haven't done before, and then we'll progressively add in kind of more advanced concepts for those of you who have played them before, but I can maybe shine some light on new ways to think of this. So, a paradiddle, there's a lot of definitions for what kind of counts as a paradiddle. When people use the term by itself, they're usually referencing the sticking pattern of right, left, right, and then the mirror image of that left, right, left, left. But I also think the term paradiddle can also be kind of a blanket term for many types of rudiments, which are basically combinations of single strokes and double strokes played smoothly, switching from one to the other. And I think that's also a good ultimate goal here in learning these two pages, and not just these pages, but these ideas, also combining them with future concepts in this book. Just your traditional rudiments, double paradiddles, paradiddle-diddles, all these kind of gibberish sounding names that are some of the most important rudiments I think out there. So let's just dive in with the first one here. On page 20, this is number 1. This is just like the classic paradiddle. So we start off with just quarters into the paradiddle. So let's kind of pause here for a moment and break down what's actually happening. Paradiddles are often written with an accent on beat 1, although it doesn't have to be that to count as 1. But when you play that very first accent, it's important that you make the first accent a downstroke, meaning you strike the drum and then you leave the stick down. This is because the next thing that your right hand has to do is the double stroke of the paradiddle. So we have a downstroke, a little tap, and then a release of just 2, which will ultimately become double strokes at fast speeds. Now the left hand, the single in there, this is looking at just one paradiddle here now, that tap is the last thing it has to do before it needs to go up and get ready for its turn to do the paradiddle. So really, if you think of it, after that tap, it can begin moving up already while this one plays the double. So now it's ready to go. Some people do this naturally when they play. For other people, this is actually kind of a helpful way to think of it, thinking of the upstrokes and the downstrokes. And again, it just depends from person to person. Sometimes it's overthinking it for some people. They would rather just jump in and do it. But if you're having a hard time getting the flow of this one down, it might be worth just kind of really breaking it down in this manner. Downstroke, upstroke, and the double, and then repeat. Downstroke, upstroke, and really think of that lift. Lift, 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 and over-exaggerate it, make them really high. So numbers 2, 3, and 4 on this page are just playing around with placing that accent in different locations on the paradiddle. When you're playing some of these, they're going to feel incredibly unnatural. And truthfully, to play a bunch of paradiddles with accents on different spots in a row is pretty rare. And it's not, I think, even that common in music to like hammer on the E of the beat over and over and over again. But you would be surprised, especially when you're doing fills on the drum set, how many like beats and fills and grooves and little licks and ideas like that will use some of these concepts. Like for example, number 4, this is accenting the last part of the paradiddle. If we just take like paradiddle tap, just one of them, paradiddle tap, and split it up, there's one right there. And you can hear like, okay, there's a cool little groove to that. But you wouldn't be able to do that without being able to play a paradiddle with an accent on the final stroke. Nor would you be able to play that very well using single strokes. To get this exact sound, you'd have to do a crossover. So again, the paradiddles are a really important means to getting around multi-surface percussion. For me personally, that means drum set. But if you're like a marching tenor player, or concert toms, this kind of stuff, it's going to be huge getting comfortable with these. Okay, so let's move on to numbers 5 and 6. These are important breakdowns of, I think, what you really want to grasp on if you want to play fast paradiddles. So number 5, what's going on here is a seemingly innocent exercise of playing 1EN, 2EN, 3EN, 4EN with alternating the sticking, which by itself isn't too crazy. Number 5 is one that you're really supposed to push your speed on and get it happening as quick as you can. Now, what this is just a paradiddle where we just took the diddle part of it, the double stroke, and just made it a single. So instead of paradiddle, we just stopped on there, and then you repeat it on the other side. And what we're left with is this stripped down part, which I think is really the muscle behind a paradiddle. This is how fast your singles need to be, or I should say, this is what's going to set the speed limit, I think, for your paradiddles as far as the muscle side of it. That fast twitch of driving that. Okay, so that one is definitely a good one to run through and make sure you have the initial part of the paradiddle down. Okay, now number 6 is a paradiddle that has the tap in the center removed. So rhythmically, number 6 is just 1, end to 2, end to 3, end to 4. It's easy. But if you've never tried this before, playing this sticking pattern with this rhythm quickly is pretty hard to do while keeping it clean. Okay, so this is working on the finesse side of the paradiddle, where you have to get the double stroke happening there. And it's I think this side of it really helps with the flow of it. So we'll cruise through this one for a little while. What we should find is as fast as you can play number 6 and number 5, that's probably about as fast as you're going to be able to play a standard paradiddle. So if you find, if that's your speed limit, that's all you've got, and you want to try to really break down what's going on to get some speed up or some extra chops or whatever, the exercises in 5 and 6 are going to be huge for that. So that's, I think, probably the big takeaway for probably more of the advanced players trying to get the hang of this one. When you're just starting off at the beginning, those two kind of seem like throwaways, but I think those are super helpful. Looking at number 7, this is connecting your paradiddles to a set of single strokes. We had done this earlier in the double stroke pages. This is just make sure you're getting the flow down of the paradiddle still sounding like your normal single strokes. You shouldn't be able to hear the paradiddle unless there's an accent on there, of course. It's tricky to do. 8 is the same thing, just 2 of them at a time. 9 and 10 are going to kind of bring you back to the ideas from 5 and 6, just in little smaller chunks. And then 11 is just kind of a summary of them. So that's the basic standard paradiddle. Okay, now on the next page, 21, we get into the variations. So what we do with this is we say, okay, our first one was right, left, right, right. And then we're going to scoot those stickings over one at a time, and then that's going to give us 4 different combinations for the sticking pattern. Even though they're all technically the same, because we're emphasizing them on different points of the beat, they're all going to sound like completely different things, and they're definitely going to feel that way. What's really going to make them shine is when you're playing on 2 different surfaces, and you can hear the rhythm that comes out of all of them. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 on page 21 are going to highlight those. So number 1 is the standard paradiddle again. Number 2 is my personal favorite, inverted paradiddle or paradiddle variation. This one puts the double strokes in the middle of it. Number 3 puts the double stroke at the beginning, so it's kind of like a backwards paradiddle, or you could maybe call it a diddle para, I guess. And this one you're just throwing down the double. And number 4, this is kind of the weird one. This is one I would always see in exercises and think like, why would you ever do this? This is so impractical. This one's even highlighted in the famous book Stick Control. And I always thought like that's kind of a throwaway, skippable one. Until I realized, okay, yeah, when you have your hands on two different sounds, it's actually pretty cool. So number 4 is essentially right, left, and then the next set is left, right, which seems silly. Why would I switch every beat what my leading hand is? But what we're doing is we're taking the double stroke and we're having that kind of wrap around the repeat. So you get right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right. Okay, so now let's go back and listen to them on 2 different surfaces. So the standard paradiddle. The second one. Third one. And then the fourth one. Whoop. Almost messed that one up. Okay, so the little brain fart I had there is the next thing I want to talk about. When you're playing these, I think a good way to kind of cheat getting the sticking correct on them is like for me, I don't always think of I don't think of the sticking in my head when I'm playing them. I'm thinking of the rhythm that my right hand is playing, and then I let my left hand fill in the gaps. So number 1, get rid of the left hand. Bum ba dum bum, bum ba dum bum. They're all going to have their own little rhythm to them. Number 2, bum bum ba dum bum bum ba dum. Number 3, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. And then, okay, number 4, this is one there where this one really shines, I think. It seems totally out of whack when you just think of it as like stickings, but when you highlight the right hand's rhythm, you get bump, bumped, bump, a bump, bumped, bump, a bump, bump, which is a totally cool rhythm. The left hand just has to fill in. So yeah, I think those are the 4 main ones, and then from there you can just mix and match them. You can do any string of singles or doubles in there, mix it up. If we look at an exercise like number 8, for example, we take just the rhythm of it goes boom, 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 boom. You all know that rhythm. You're all over the place. Let the left hand fill in. And that could be a pretty cool fill. So yeah, I think just cruising through the rest of this page would be good for you. Just getting used to some different ideas. Spend some time with each of these if you're a drum set player. Just noodle around with hitting different toms, put your hands on different surfaces, try a closed hi-hat in there too. You'd be surprised what you can come up with. You could also turn the snare off, and just so you have like basically all the toms, all tom tones, and just get your flow down. It's pretty cool when you can gain control of just playing those ideas freely like that. So there's many more exercises that you can do for this, but I think these 2 pages are a good introduction for that. So if you have any questions on paradiddles, just let me know. Otherwise, thanks for checking out the video. Go and practice book 2 if you don't have it. Pick it up, 1 and 3 also. Yeah, thanks again for watching, much appreciated, and I'll see you all in the next video.